The Sahara Desert, as always, proving a constant obstacle to both man and machine. This is Hubert Oriel on his Cajiva, showing just how not to do it. A front wheel landing, flying through the air, and he's blaming the cameraman. Let's watch it again in slow motion, and I think this will show how to fly a Cajiva, and also don't blame somebody else when you've made a mistake. He takes a fearful tumble as he goes over the handlebars of the Cajiva, and we lose him in a great cloud of sand and dust. Others try a more measured approach, but I'm afraid end up in exactly the same way. It appears whatever approach you make to this particular sand dune, you're going to have problems. Riders now being warned of the man crashed in front of them and having to stop at the top, or some having to stop actually at the bottom of the hill. It must seem a long way from home when you're sitting it out in the desert or trying to negotiate that fearful dune. Whatever way you approach the problem, it always seems to end in the same fall. Now here's the cautious approach. And almost successful, but that same end result. And those are big, heavy machines to pick up when you've gone a long way and you're stuck in the sand. The harder you open the throttle, the more it will dig in. Again, a slow motion version of flying a motorcycle. They say the sand is soft, but if you hit it at that type of speed, it's very, very hard indeed. Also in the Paris Dakar rally, you have to encounter water and mud. This is a former World Trials champion, Gilles Bergat, but in all sorts of problems in the mud at France at the start of the rally. The crowd are urging him on, but again, down he goes. This is Morales, number 93 on the Honda, Claudino Torri again on the Moto Guzzi. And the mud, a foretaste really for the competitors of the sand and the long hard days that lie ahead. If you're in the crowd, don't get too close to the action, because the Japanese rider Taguchi could give you all sorts of problems. Dutchman Frans Villeneuve also having problems, and would you believe snow? In 2 or 3 days' time, these riders are going to be in the middle of the hottest desert in the world. But at the start of the rally, it's snow they have to encounter. A very different approach, but really too, a very same problem. The sand might be deeper, it might be further away from home, but it's still just as painful and just as tiring when you go down. Even worse when you've got to restart the engine. That fearful doom, and the end result exactly the same. A front wheel landing, the more measured approach, but not a more measured landing, and a nasty tumble as the bike catches the rider as he goes down. Perhaps it's easier to actually fall off at the front. Slow motion again, and the front wheel landing, the bike out of line, and I'm afraid only one result. Again, that great cloud of sand and dust, and another rider loses control. This is the more measured approach, but again it results in that front wheel landing, and the front wheel digs in and throws the rider over the handlebars, and there is no respite for these riders in surely the toughest and most dangerous event in the motorcycling world.